So let's take in a conversation around the new context I would like to bring into the discussion is about CSR. So CSR with marketing campaigns, do you think are they worth?
It's a very interesting question. And, as I was trying to decode the various pieces of communication that I've seen over the last couple of years, because now we're almost into a second year. And what I realized, from the point of view of the rules of communication, right? So one of the first rules that I sort of decoded is the fact that, as consumer behavior changes, new passion points arise, right? So if in-home cooking is today all in the vogue, you'll have a lot of brands trying to make themselves relevant using new consumer passion points. Yeah. At the same time, the consumer expects you to be sensitive, right? And CSR clearly is something that shows brands as being sensitive, right? But at the same time, you have to be relevant. Yeah. Now, a CSR campaign, which is sensitive, but has got nothing to do with the brand or product opportunity, is not really going to drive your business. It might drive some talk value, but it is not something that is going to drive your business ambitions, right? And hence, a brand or a manufacturer needs to keenly examine all of these three questions. One, am I activating a passion point that my TG associates with? Second, am I being sensitive in my communication, or am I just taking on an old conversation? Third, is my initiative relevant to them? Yeah. Now, these are the three touch points. Okay. Now, on the basis of these metrics, one of the brands that did a large campaign which is linked to CSR last year was Amazon, right? And Amazon talked about, celebrating their employees, right? Now, they got a lot of positivity, but at the same time, there was skepticism because, there were reports of how Amazon in the US was not even giving the mandatory 7 or 10 days leave for their employees who had COVID, right? So you cannot just make a CSR campaign and then not walk the talk, because the moment you are going into a sensitive space, consumers will be all the more careful to say, are you just doing this for a buzz value, or do you really believe in this? Yeah. And hence, integrity as well as, values, right? Authenticity remains the buzzword of what consumers really expect from brands and corporates. So if there is a CSR campaign which is relevant, but it is also authentic, I think you will get the rewards for it. If it is inauthentic and it is done simply because, it's a buzz and why don't we do something about it, I don't think it's the right thing to do.
That's right. So, added to the purpose is basically you're recommending while doing the campaigns.
Yes. You should be very clear about it, saying that, does it talk to, the passion points of your consumers, your TG? Is it something which is presented in a manner which is sensitive? Secondly, is it relevant? Yeah. And are you willing to walk the talk? Is it just something which you're doing for a short-term benefit, or is it something that you really believe in from the long term and really have been working toward? Like, for example, I think the beneficiaries or the people who got the most positive vibe during this time were the Tatas. And Tatas, not because of what they did in the pandemic, but what they have always stood for. They have always stood for integrity. It's not that, today there is a pandemic, so they need to do something about it. It is something which they have known to have been doing for many, many years. And they are doing, more than that, more than what they have done in the past now. Now, that's integrity. That's something that you can respect and believe in. But it cannot be a flash in the pan.
That's very right. High regards for it. In fact, the example that you shared. This has another aspect of discussion also is about responsible marketing. When would we learn this as a marketer? Endorsement by the actors, their punchlines, graphics. This is some area I would like to explore your views onto it. What are your thoughts?
Sure. So, see, I think there are various parts of responsible marketing, right? And it's a very large subject. It can be decoded and coded in many ways, right? And trust me, as much as I would advocate it, at the same time, I would expect, us as marketers to be a little more logical and thought through about it. So, for example, I saw a number of marketers up in arms on the cred campaign, which showed Rahul Dravid as the bully of Indra, right? Now I think it's a campaign that brought a smile to many of our faces. We found it pretty interesting and enjoyable. Yeah. As a marketer, I was skeptical because my question was, what is it doing about educating about the service? Because you got limited money, you have small, budgets. Can you, shouldn't we actually spend a little more effort in trying to educate people about the service rather than only trying to get eyeballs, right? But at the same time, you had a lot of people saying that, oh, it's unethical because you're showing face, right? Now, I don't believe in that. I think it was violence for the sake of humor. And I worry if marketers try to be too careful, it'll never go anywhere. You cannot say that violence is bad because it's clearly done for the humorous purpose, right? So hence, as much as we should be sensitive and we should be logical about it, right? And things that I believe in is, for example, marketing to kids. You should not push over consumption of chocolates and high fat things to children. You should be careful about that. Now, that's ethical marketing for me, right? Similarly, ethical marketing for me is, if you know that I mean the way we show our nutritional panels, right? And the way we ensure that everything is validated by the legal team, because if you have something with regards to the nutritional benefits, right? Now there are strict guidelines in terms of how is it talking to the daily allowance of that nutrients. Now that's all ethical marketing that has to be done, has to be vetted very carefully. But at the same time, if the conversation goes the way Mintra went, where there was a local change required because an activist saw something in it which in my mind was just not there. I think we tend to move into an area which is trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, and I think that's not required.
True that, and appreciate your honest answer on it. And there was no, anything synthetic in it. So wonderful.